This is Nanette Hosenfeld with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Monday, June 26th, 2017. So looking at the fire potential impacts over the next few days, one concern for today is thunderstorms across the area. We are looking at isolated dry thunderstorms across the area on the map highlighted in red. Those thunderstorms will trend drier, but as you move further north, those thunderstorms will be a little bit wetter. There's also a concern for some gusty winds this afternoon. We're expecting gusts in the 30 to 40 mile an hour range across portions of Nevada and western Utah today. And then tomorrow, those gusty winds will move further towards the east. So over the past 24 hours, really no precipitation across the Great Basin. You can see pretty dry across this map if you look at the map on the left. As far as lightning, though, there was a bit of lightning across Nevada, particularly across western Nevada. Fire activity is really picking up across the Great Basin. We have 19 new fires and 123 ongoing fires across the area. So comparing observed precipitation to normal, if we look at the past 7 days, really it has been quite dry across the Great Basin. There has been a little bit of thunderstorm activity across the area, and you can kind of see the traces of that across portions of Utah, but really very dry over the past 7 days. And even looking back 30 days, the majority of the Great Basin is below normal over the 30-day period. So it really has been dry over the past month. With that hot and dry weather, it's no surprise that our ERCs are quite high. You can see, especially across the southern part of the area, many of our ERCs are above the 90th and even 97th percentile. So really looking at those ERCs trending upwards across the area. Live fuel moistures are also declining across the area. They are still the highest across the north. You can see that this sample site in southwestern Idaho is on the downward trend, but the fuel moisture is above normal. However, as we move further south, those fuel moistures do fall more and more below normal, and you can see that Muskrat and McCook sites in central and southern Utah are pretty far below normal. Looking at the satellite this morning, there is high pressure across the Great Basin, and that will stay in place for the next day or two. So here's the upper air pattern. You can see the drier air moving into western Nevada, a little moisture across the northern part of the Great Basin, and that moisture corresponds to some of the areas that we are concerned about lightning. So we are highlighting the lightning risk across the highlighted red portions of the Great Basin in this map on the right. The other concern, as I mentioned earlier today, is the wind, and you can see the areas that we're concerned about the wind. And just to look at that in a little more detail, you can see the wind gust forecast here on the left. These orange colors are, wind speeds in the 30 mile an hour range, and there's even some gusts to 40 miles an hour possible across portions of the Great Basin today. It will also be quite dry. You can see from this image here on the right, these are relative humidity values, and they're really going to be quite low across at least the southern 2/3 of the Great Basin. Moving into Tuesday, you can see that drier air making its way further into the Great Basin, moving further east in the area. And with that dry air, there's not as much of a concern for lightning on Tuesday, but we will see some gusty winds across the southeastern part of the area, and you can see that highlighted in our significant fire potential map here on the right. Again, looking in a little more detail, you can see these gusty winds forecast across the eastern part of the area, with some areas seeing wind gusts in the 30 mile an hour range. It will continue to be quite dry across the Great Basin, as you can see from this map here on the right. Moving into Wednesday, the high pressure is gone. We're in a more... Moving into Wednesday, we still have drier air across the southern part of the Great Basin, and there is a potential for some thunderstorms to occur again on Wednesday afternoon, mainly across northeastern Utah, far southeastern Idaho. And looking in a little more detail, gusty winds will hold on for another day across southern Utah on Wednesday, and really quite dry across much of the area. So looking at precipitation accumulation in the 3-day period, really not much forecast across the Great Basin. It'll be pretty dry across the area over the next 3 days. So moving on to Thursday, we are in a northerly flow, which means not quite as hot across the area. A little moisture across the north still. And as we move into Friday, the ridge starts to build across the Great Basin. As we move into Saturday, it looks like we have some lingering moisture across the area, a little drier across the southwest, but pretty benign weather over the next few days. And finally, as we move into Sunday, it looks like the ridge rebounds a little bit with some drier air. So really, after today and tomorrow with the wind and the lightning, looks like things quiet down as far as the weather moving into the weekend. Looking at the 7-day precipitation accumulation, you can see not really any change from the 3 days. So, after the next 3 days, any thunderstorms we get over the next 3 days, not too much will happen across the Great Basin as far as precipitation. Finally, in the 8 to 14 day period, the Climate Prediction Center is calling for above normal temperatures and below normal precipitation. So we will expect to see those ERCs continue to rise, those live fuel moistures continue to decrease across the area. And that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our email addresses are on the screen, and you can also find us on Twitter. Thanks.